Have you ever swung open the refrigerator door and felt an odd pause, not because something you needed was missing, but because something seemed off? Maybe it was a faint odor drifting from the back of the shelf, or perhaps it was that jar, bag, or leftover you tucked inside a few days ago, thinking you were being smart, preserving it for later, keeping yourself and your loved ones healthy. We have all been there. It feels natural, almost automatic. We slide leftovers into containers and place them neatly on the middle rack. We store fruits and vegetables in the crisper drawer. We even keep certain pantry items, like condiments or oils, chilling in the corner because we believe the cold will protect them. But here's the unsettling truth. Some of those exact items may quietly turn harmful when stored in the fridge. What you thought was a safe habit could slowly and without warning place an extra burden on your health, possibly even raising the risk of serious illness over time. That might sound dramatic, but stay with me. As we grow older, our bodies simply do not rebound the way they once did. The liver has to work harder. The immune system becomes more cautious, slower to respond, and that means even small choices, what we eat, how we store it, can have long-lasting consequences. Illness does not always arrive from outside threats like viruses or pollution. Sometimes it begins right in our own kitchens, in the very routines we have followed for decades. These habits may have been passed down by well-meaning parents or friends who truly believed they were doing the right thing, but what once made sense might no longer serve us, especially now. That is exactly why today's conversation matters, especially if you are over 60 or if you care for someone who is. We are going to uncover 5 everyday foods that you should think twice about before placing them in the fridge. It is not just about taste or texture. In some cases, refrigeration can strip away nutritional value, and in others, it can trigger changes that make the food unsafe to eat. And here is a little teaser. Number 3 on our list is sitting in most kitchens right now, and many people have been refrigerating it for years without realizing the potential harm. So, if you want to take charge of your health, and if you believe that getting older should come with wisdom, not worry, then lean in. This just might change the way you see your refrigerator forever. Before we get into the list, I would love to know, are you someone who cares deeply about what you eat and how it affects your well-being? If you are, type in the comments, "I care about what I eat." That simple message tells me you are part of this mindful living journey. And if this kind of practical, no-nonsense health wisdom matters to you, especially in your golden years, tap that subscribe button and join our community. We are here to help you live not just longer, but better. Food 1: potatoes. Let's begin with a food many of us keep on hand: potatoes. Picture this, Mr. Harris, a retired teacher, enjoys cooking on weekends. One Saturday, he boils a generous pot of potatoes, thinking he will save time for the week ahead. He seals the extras in a container and slides them into the fridge, confident they will stay fresh. A few days later, he reheats them, maybe browns them in a skillet with a little butter. Not long after eating, he feels unusually sluggish, slightly bloated, and a bit nauseous. At first, he blames age or a busy day, but something else is happening quietly behind the scenes. When raw potatoes are stored in cold temperatures, the natural starches begin to turn into sugars. This might sound harmless, but when those potatoes are later cooked, especially at high heat like frying or roasting, those sugars react with amino acids to create acrylamide, a chemical linked in studies to certain cancers. For older adults, whose bodies clear toxins less efficiently, this becomes an even greater concern. That is not the only issue. Potatoes that turn green or sprout eyes contain solanine, a naturally occurring toxin. While small amounts may not seem dangerous, they can build up over time, especially in people with slower metabolism or fragile health. Many believe refrigeration keeps potatoes fresher longer. In truth, The cold accelerates chemical changes. In the breakdown process, you are not preserving them, you are altering them. The safer choice: store potatoes in a cool, dry, and dark place such as a pantry or drawer. Discard any that have sprouted, turned green, or become soft. Small choices like this matter, especially when your goal is to keep your body supported, not silently burdened. Food, too, honey. If only potatoes were the only everyday food we mishandle in our kitchens, life would be simpler, but they are just the start. Let's move to something far sweeter, golden in color, naturally rich, and praised for centuries as one of nature's healthiest gifts. I am talking about honey. Most of us have a jar somewhere in the house. You might swirl it into warm tea on a chilly morning, drizzle it over fresh bread, or take a spoonful to soothe a scratchy throat. It feels wholesome and safe. Yet, here is a common habit that could be quietly undoing its goodness: storing it in the refrigerator. Many well-intentioned people believe that cooler storage keeps honey fresher. Take my neighbor, Mrs. Turner, a lively 75-year-old who makes incredible herbal infusions. One afternoon, I visited her kitchen and saw her struggling to scoop honey from a jar. It had turned hard, grainy, and pale. When I asked why she kept it cold, she smiled and said, "I thought it would last longer that way." The truth is, honey does not need refrigeration ever. In fact, cold temperatures disrupt its natural balance. When chilled, honey begins to crystallize, becoming thick and gritty. While that might seem like only a texture issue, there is more beneath the surface. Pure honey is naturally antibacterial, antifungal, and can remain safe for years when stored properly at room temperature. But here is where the risk appears, especially for older adults. When honey is kept cold for long periods, it can form a compound called hydroxymethylfurfuryl, or HMF. This substance develops as honey breaks down over time. While HMF is a natural byproduct, refrigeration speeds up its creation. Some animal studies suggest that high levels of HMF may be harmful and could contribute to cancer risk over the years. For those of us past 60, or caring for loved ones who are, these small risks add up. That is the challenge of aging wisely. We often have to unlearn what once seemed like common sense. The solution is simple. Store honey in a tightly sealed jar, at room temperature, in a dark place away from direct sunlight. If it crystallizes, do not worry, it is still safe. Just place the jar in warm water for a few minutes, and it will return to its smooth, golden state, ready to nourish you without hidden harm. Food, 3 leafy greens. Honey might have surprised you, but our next food could be even more eye-opening. It is one many people proudly buy, believing it represents the healthiest choice in the store. Fresh-looking, neatly sealed in plastic, labeled pre-washed or ready to eat, these bags of leafy greens seem like the ultimate shortcut to healthy eating. Think of baby spinach, tinakale, or mixed salad greens. You grab a bag, drop it into your cart, and feel good about your decision. At home, it goes straight into the fridge. Over the next few days, you add handfuls to sandwiches, blend some into smoothies, and toss the rest into dinner salads. It feels like you are making a smart choice every time. But then, without warning, someone in the household starts feeling unwell. Mild stomach cramps, a bit of nausea, maybe a low fever. You wonder how we have been eating healthier than ever. The culprit could be sitting quietly in that plastic bag inside your refrigerator, pre-washed. Pre-cut leafy greens are not always as safe as they appear. Even though they look crisp, clean, and fresh, they can carry harmful bacteria that are nearly invisible. The most concerning is Listeria monocytogenes. And here's the troubling part: Listeria is not bothered by cold. Unlike many other bacteria, it can continue to grow inside your refrigerator. For younger, healthy individuals, this might mean only a brief period of discomfort, but for older adults, especially anyone over 60, listeria can be far more dangerous. It can lead to serious infections, blood poisoning, neurological complications, or even death in vulnerable individuals. And it can happen from a salad you thought was perfectly safe. So, what can you do? The safest approach is to go back to basics. Whenever you can, choose whole leafy greens, like a full head of lettuce or an uncut bunch of spinach. Wash them thoroughly yourself. Dry them well, and eat them within 1 to 2 days. Do not store them wet in a sealed container for long periods. If you must buy pre-washed greens, eat them as soon as possible. And always check the expiration date before use. Yes, it may feel inconvenient to add this extra step, but when it comes to aging wisely, knowledge is your best defense. Once you understand the risks, you have the power to make choices that protect your health one salad at a time. Food for garlic and oil. If the last example caught you off guard, you are not alone. And if you are someone who stores the next kitchen favorite in the fridge, simply because that is how it has always been done, it is time to pay extra attention. Let us talk about garlic and oil. You might have seen it in small decorative jars, made it yourself at home, or received it as a thoughtful gift. Perhaps you have followed an online recipe promising a cheap, tasty, and healthy homemade treat. The idea sounds harmless: garlic for heart health, oil for overall wellness, so what could possibly go wrong? Here is a story that answers that question. A friend of mine, a passionate home cook who loves creating everything from scratch, decided to make a batch of garlic-infused olive oil. He minced the garlic, poured in the oil, sealed the jar, and placed it in the refrigerator, thinking it would keep for a week. A few days later, he used a spoonful to dress his pasta. The next morning, he woke with alarming symptoms: blurred vision, slurred speech, and sudden muscle weakness. By midday, he was in the emergency room. The diagnosis was botulism, a rare but potentially deadly form of food poisoning. The source: that seemingly innocent jar of homemade garlic oil. Here is what happened and what could happen to anyone unaware of the risk. When raw garlic is submerged in oil and stored in a cold, oxygen-poor environment, it creates an ideal breeding ground for a dangerous bacterium called Clostridium botulinum. This microbe produces botulinum toxin, one of the most potent natural toxins known. Just a trace can paralyze muscles, and in severe cases, stop breathing altogether. The danger is made worse by the fact that the oil does not look, smell, or taste any different, leaving no warning signs until it is too late. Many people assume that refrigeration guarantees safety. Unfortunately, it does not. While cold temperatures may slow bacterial growth, they do not destroy botulinum spores. For older adults, especially those with weaker immune systems, reduced digestive function, or chronic health conditions, the danger is very real. So, what is the safe approach? If you enjoy garlic oil, stick with commercially prepared, shelf-stable versions made under strict safety standards. If you want to make it at home, prepare only what you will use immediately within 24 hours. For longer storage, freezing is far safer than refrigerating, as it halts bacterial growth more effectively. In the end, no burst of flavor is worth risking a medical emergency. This is not about fear, it is about making wise, informed choices that protect both you and the people you care about. Food 5: tomatoes. We have explored potatoes, honey, leafy greens, and garlic stored in oil. Now let's turn to a food that is almost always sitting somewhere in your kitchen. You might slice it for sandwiches, simmer it in sauces, add it to soups, or simply sprinkle it with a little salt and enjoy it fresh. And like many people, you may believe the refrigerator is its best home. But for this particular food, the chill does more harm than good. I am talking about tomatoes. My friend Harold has always been a man who loved bold, fresh flavors. He added tomato slices to breakfast eggs, toast, even simple bowls of rice. He kept them in the fridge because he liked them cold and thought it kept them firm. Over time, though, he noticed they had lost their vibrant taste. They became soft, watery, and bland. Science explains why. Ripe tomatoes are sensitive to low temperatures. When stored below about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, their delicate cell walls start to break down, leaving a grainy texture. Even more importantly, cold slows the natural processes that create lycopene, the antioxidant responsible for their deep red color and well-known cancer-fighting properties. Tomatoes are praised for supporting prostate health, reducing inflammation, and protecting the heart, but chilling them reduces these benefits, leaving you with less flavor and fewer nutrients. The better choice: keep tomatoes at room temperature, away from direct sunlight, and allow them to ripen fully. Enjoy them within a few days for the richest taste and the greatest health rewards. For those of us over 60, that means preserving both the pleasure of a flavorful meal and the protective benefits our bodies still need. This is not about fear, it is about caring for ourselves with simple, informed choices. Now that you understand the truth about these 5 everyday foods: potatoes, honey, bagged leafy greens, garlic and oil, and tomatoes, what will you do with this insight? Learning is one thing, but putting it into action is where real change begins. It can feel unsettling to realize that foods we have trusted for decades, meals we have shared with loved ones, ingredients we have stored without a second thought might be quietly working against our health. This becomes even more important as we grow older, when our bodies take longer to recover and our immune systems are less resilient. This is not about assigning blame. It is not even about saying you have done something wrong. Instead, it is about recognizing the small, nearly invisible habits: placing a tomato in the refrigerator, keeping garlic oil past its safe date, or reaching for a pre-washed bag of spinach out of convenience. On the surface, they seem harmless, but for older adults, especially those living with conditions like heart disease, diabetes, or weakened immunity, these choices can carry more risk than we realize. The good news is that this is not a story meant to create fear. It is a call for clarity, and with clarity comes control. Now you can see past the myths and step into the small but powerful group of people who understand that food safety is an essential part of staying strong and independent. You do not need to fear your refrigerator, you simply need to be mindful about what belongs in it. You do not have to throw everything away. Just pause, look, and make smarter decisions. Take a few minutes today to open your fridge with fresh eyes. Search for these 5 foods and ask, is this helping me or hurting me? Then choose one small change. Move your tomatoes to the countertop. Discard the old garlic oil. Pick whole, fresh greens instead of the bagged kind. Next time, every step, no matter how small, is a meaningful act of care, not just for your body, but for your independence, your peace of mind, and for those who love you. Let us quickly review. Potatoes: keep them out of the refrigerator to avoid harmful chemical changes. Honey: store at room temperature to protect its purity. Bagged leafy greens: choose whole and wash yourself to reduce bacteria risk. Garlic and oil: consume quickly or choose store-bought versions to avoid botulism. Tomatoes: keep them at room temperature to preserve flavor and nutrients. These are not just kitchen tips. They are life-protecting choices. I'd truly like to hear your thoughts. Have you been keeping any of these foods in the fridge without realizing the hidden risks? Did your parents or grandparents have storage habits that worked in their time but might not be the safest today? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might guide someone else, or even protect their health. If this video gave you new insight, made you pause and reconsider, or taught you something valuable, please take a moment to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Journey. Every day, we share practical, research-based advice to help older adults not just get by, but truly thrive. Because growing older should never mean fading away. It should mean living with wisdom, vitality, and intention. If you found value here, give this video a like, stay connected by subscribing, and most importantly, pass it along to someone you care about, because sharing is an act of love. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take a deep breath, open your refrigerator, and make one better choice today. Until next time, stay wise, stay healthy, and keep choosing life